That morning felt just like any other. I had my cup of coffee, fed my cat, and opened the curtains to let the sunshine in. The air was quiet, peaceful. Too peaceful, maybe. But peace didn't last long. When I stepped out to grab the mail, I noticed something strange on my front door. A folded piece of paper was tucked under the handle. It wasn't a flyer or an ad, it was handwritten. The words were rushed, uneven, almost desperate. "Get out of here if you want to live." My heart stopped. At first, I thought it was some kind of joke. Maybe kids messing around, or a prank from the neighborhood boys. But something about those shaky letters. They didn't look playful. They looked terrified. I looked across the street at my neighbor's house. Mr. Harris, an older man who'd lived there for nearly 20 years. He always waved when I walked outside. But that morning, his curtains were drawn tight. His front door was slightly open. Something didn't feel right. I tucked the note in my pocket and walked toward his porch. The closer I got, the colder the air seemed to feel. "Mr. Harris?" I called out softly. No answer. I took one step inside. His house was dark. The smell of something metallic, maybe blood, maybe rust, made my stomach twist. Then I heard a sound, a faint thump coming from the back room. I froze. "Mr. Harris?" I whispered again. Still nothing. I turned to leave, but as I did, I saw something lying on the kitchen counter, a small spiral notebook with my name written on the cover. My hands shook as I reached for it. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed from somewhere inside the house, something heavy falling to the floor. I dropped the notebook and ran back out the door, my heart racing so fast I could barely breathe. I sprinted across the street and slammed my own door shut. I pressed my back against it, gasping for air, clutching that note like it was my lifeline. What was happening? Why would my neighbor warn me to leave and then disappear? Something told me this wasn't random. And deep down, I had a feeling. Whatever was coming, it was already closer than I thought. I couldn't stop shaking. That warning note kept echoing in my mind. "Get out of here if you want to live." I sat at my kitchen table, staring at the folded piece of paper like it might suddenly explain itself, but it didn't. I needed answers. After catching my breath, I looked out my window again. Mr. Harris's house was still dark, the front door still slightly open. The silence around it felt wrong. That's when I remembered the notebook, the one with my name on it. I'd dropped it when I ran out. My chest tightened. Whatever was in there, Mr. Harris wanted me to see it. I slipped on my coat and went back across the street. The whole time, my heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. Inside, the air was colder now. The smell of metal and dust filled the house. I found the notebook on the kitchen floor, lying open like it had been waiting for me. The first page had Mr. Harris's handwriting, neat but hurried. "There's something wrong with this street, with the people on it. I've seen things I can't explain. It started after your daughter moved in next door." I stopped reading for a second, my heart hammering. My daughter, Kara, had moved into the house 2 doors down a few months ago. We hadn't spoken much lately. She said she was busy, that she needed space. I turned the page. "They come late at night. I don't know who they are, but they're not normal. They've been watching you. I've seen the same car parked outside your house for weeks. Don't go anywhere alone after dark." My hands trembled. This had to be some kind of mistake, or maybe Mr. Harris had been sick, confused. Then I saw the last line he wrote, in larger, darker ink. "If something happens to me, trust no one, not even your daughter." I froze. Trust no one, not even Kara? My breath caught as I heard a car engine outside. Slowly, I peeked through the blinds. A black sedan had pulled up in front of my house. A tall man stepped out, wearing a suit. He looked right at my window and smiled. I couldn't move. That man's eyes were locked on mine through the window. Calm and cold, like he already knew what I'd just read. He didn't knock, he didn't speak. He just stood there for a few seconds, smiling. Then slowly, he got back into his car and drove away. I stood frozen by the window until his taillights disappeared around the corner. My heart wouldn't stop pounding. Every sound, the ticking clock, the wind outside made me jump. She hesitated, just for a second, but it was enough. Her eyes flickered toward the man. Then she forced a small smile. "Just open the door, Mom, please." My hand hovered over the lock. My instincts screamed no, but my heart said she was still my daughter. And in that moment, I had to decide which voice to trust. I didn't open the door right away. Kara kept knocking, her voice soft but tense. "Mom, please," she said. "I need to explain." My fingers shook as I held the lock. I wanted to believe her. I needed to, but every instinct in me whispered that something wasn't right. Through the small crack in the curtain, I saw the man in the black suit still standing by the sidewalk. He wasn't moving, not even blinking, just watching. I finally called out, "Who is that man, Kara? Why is he here?" She froze for a moment, He's just someone who's helping me, she said quickly. Please, Mom, let me come in. You're not safe here. Her words sent a chill down my spine. That was almost the same thing Mr. Harris had written in his note. Get out of here if you want to live. If I wasn't safe here, then who was I supposed to be afraid of? I took a deep breath, trying to keep my voice steady. Kara, if you want to talk, tell that man to leave first. She hesitated again, then looked over her shoulder. The man didn't move. He just gave her a small nod. That tiny moment told me everything. I backed away from the door, heart pounding. No, Kara, I said firmly, not like this. Was I losing my mind? Or was this exactly what Mr. Harris had been trying to warn me about? I picked up the notebook again, flipping through the rest of the pages. The last few were filled with messy sketches, strange symbols, little maps of the neighborhood, arrows pointing toward different houses. One circle was drawn right over my home. At the bottom of the page, in red ink, were 3 words. They already know. A chill ran down my back. Just then my phone buzzed. I nearly dropped it. The screen said Kara. For a moment I hesitated. Mr. Harris's warning echoed in my mind. Trust no one, not even your daughter. But she was my child, my own flesh and blood. I couldn't believe she had anything to do with this. I answered the call. Mom, she said softly, are you okay? I saw a strange car outside your house. I swallowed hard. I saw it too. Her tone shifted, careful, almost rehearsed. Don't go anywhere. I'm coming over right now. Before I could respond, she hung up. I stared at my phone, uneasy. How did she know about the car so quickly? She lived 2 houses down, but still, that timing felt too perfect. A few minutes later, I heard footsteps outside. I peeked through the peephole. It was Kara, standing on the porch with a worried look on her face. Mom, open the door, she said. We need to talk. But behind her, in the dim light, I saw a figure standing by the sidewalk, tall, in a black suit, the same man from the car. He was watching again. Kara, I whispered through the door. Who is that with you? She hesitated, just for a second, but it was enough. Her eyes flickered toward the man, then she forced a small smile. Just open the door, Mom, please. My hand hovered over the lock. My instincts screamed no, but my heart said she was still my daughter. And in that moment, I had to decide which voice to trust. I didn't open the door right away. Kara kept knocking, her voice soft but tense. Mom, please, she said, I need to explain. My fingers shook as I held the lock. I wanted to believe her. I needed to. But every instinct in me whispered that something wasn't right. Through the small crack in the curtain, I saw the man in the black suit still standing by the sidewalk. He wasn't moving, not even blinking, just watching. I finally called out, Who is that man, Kara? Why is he here? She froze for a moment. He's just someone who's helping me, she said quickly. Please, Mom, let me come in. You're not safe here. Her words sent a chill down my spine. That was almost the same thing Mr. Harris had written in his note. Get out of here if you want to live. If I wasn't safe here, then who was I supposed to be afraid of? I took a deep breath, trying to keep my voice steady. Kara, if you want to talk, tell that man to leave first. She hesitated again, then looked over her shoulder. The man didn't move. He just gave her a small nod. That tiny moment told me everything. I backed away from the door, heart pounding. No, Kara, I said firmly, not like this. She sighed, a long, heavy sound. Then, in a voice I barely recognized, she said, You were supposed to be gone by now, Mom. My blood ran cold. What did you say? She looked up, her eyes glassy, her smile gone. They said they wouldn't hurt you if you left. But you didn't. You stayed. Tears welled up in my eyes. Kara, what did you do? She took a step closer to the door. It's not what you think. I was desperate. They said they'd help pay off my debts if I gave them access to your property. I didn't know they'd... Before she could finish, the man in the suit shouted, Enough! Kara turned, startled, and in that split second I saw fear, real fear in her eyes. That's when I realized she wasn't in control anymore. I ran to the back door, grabbed my phone, and called 911 with trembling hands. My voice cracked as I said, There's someone outside my home. Please, hurry. I could hear footsteps now, one set running, another heavier, slower. And just before I reached the back gate, I heard my daughter scream. The next few minutes felt like hours. I could barely breathe as I crouched by the back fence, clutching my phone so tightly it hurt. The 911 operator's voice was calm but distant. "Stay on the line, ma'am. Officers are on their way." But 10 minutes can feel like forever when danger is at your door. I could hear shouting from the front yard, my daughter's voice, trembling and scared. Then came another voice, the man's, cold and angry. I wanted to run to her. I wanted to hold her, tell her everything would be okay. But I also knew that one wrong move could end everything. Then suddenly, a loud bang. I screamed before I could stop myself. Footsteps pounded toward the back of the house. I ducked behind the fence, my heart racing faster than ever. For a moment, all I could hear was my own breathing. Then, silence. Moments later, flashing red and blue lights filled the street. I heard shouting, "Put your hands up! Drop the weapon!" And then the sound of someone sobbing. I stayed hidden until I heard a woman's voice say, "Ma'am, you can come out now." When I stood up, my legs felt weak. A police officer helped me walk to the front of the house. Kara was sitting on the curb, handcuffed but crying uncontrollably. The man in the suit was lying face down on the ground, surrounded by officers. His gun had been taken away. One of the officers turned to me. "You're lucky, ma'am," he said quietly. "That man was wanted in connection with several home invasions. Looks like your neighbor tried to warn you before they got to him." My eyes filled with tears. "Mr. Harris," I whispered. Later, they told me he'd called the police the night before, said he'd seen strangers breaking into homes and watching families. He must have realized I was next. That's why he left the note. That night, I sat alone in my living room. The sirens were gone. The street was quiet again, but it didn't feel peaceful anymore. Kara had made mistakes, terrible ones, but as a mother, I couldn't stop loving her. I just wished she'd told me the truth before things went this far. I picked up the old notebook one last time. On the final page, I wrote 4 simple words. "Thank you, Mr. Harris. Because if it weren't for that note, I might not be here at all." And sometimes angels don't come with wings. Sometimes they come with shaking hands and a warning written in ink.